So the important thing to think about is this is housing, right? It's not a care facility. This is where people live, no different than your neighbors or you in your communities. Right? It's a special class of protected people. These are folks that have substance use disorder. This is an absence-based model, recovery housing, with the inclusion of medication-assisted treatment and what we would call peer recovery support. That's the magic sauce of recovery housing is the social model. And it operates like a family-like community. So I'm not trying to, I don't want to say dumb down, that the word provokes, I don't like that word, but what I want to do is make sure we understand what it is that we're talking about here, because oftentimes people confuse treatment and recovery. The thing that I would say about treatment, so my day job, I have 300 beds in Indiana, and there's treatment beds, recovery housing beds at different levels. And embedded in all those facilities, I have healthcare practitioners, mental health practitioners, peer support. All my operations guys are guys that have lived in the recovery houses. So people come into recovery housing thinking that they're terminally unique. And we can say, no, you're not terminally unique. Everybody here has been where you are. But the important thing, I think, to remember is that if treatment, and I'm a clinician, I mean, what it didn't say, I'm wrapping up my master's in addictions counseling, right? So I do a lot of counseling. If treatment was all that was needed to deal with the epidemic that we face, and before COVID, this was the #1 public health and public safety epidemic, right? If treatment was all that was needed, we wouldn't have an epidemic. We would send everybody to treatment and we'd be okay, right? And if we only needed to send people to, to jails and institutions, again, we wouldn't have an epidemic. Treatment is so necessary for people to get stabilized in hopes that they get into recovery and have an opportunity to change their lives. There's 4 levels of recovery housing, and just to familiarize you quickly, is in all 4 levels that NAR certifies recovery houses, and we do that through state organizations such as NHCORE. These are all alcohol and drug-free environments, so this is abstinence-based. And the words, so you're gonna hear me say recovery residences. Yeah, I was with some people yesterday and somebody said halfway houses. And I always think halfway to where, right? Or sober houses. I'm like, my dog has been sober a very long time. My dog lives in a sober house. The point about recovery housing is recovery implies that there's something happening in that residence that's unique, right? And we can talk about the different definitions of recovery, but that's an important component. So it's not just the drug and alcohol-free environment, but this is a social model. And if somebody said to me, hey, what's the most important thing in your recovery today, Darrell? I'd say connection. Connection to, for me, a higher power, and connection to the other people that are in my community that support my lifestyle. That allows me to bring connection to you in a way that I'm not harmful to anybody any longer. I stand before you today, an alcoholic and an addict, but I haven't had a drink or a drug in a very long time, right? So this social model is critical. As we move, and so none of these levels of care are more important than the other, but as you move through these 4 levels, there's recovery support services. So, and it's not prescriptive. It can be faith-based. It can be 12-step models, a variety of different things. And then at the highest level, the level 4s, there's clinical services. That can be actually embedded in the house. It could be a relationship with a mental health counselor that comes in to do work. It could be case management people that come in to do clinical work. So it depends on the need that somebody has where they may enter this continuum. The intersection of housing and recovery is such an important component, right? This is what differentiates the treatment component. So we know that the #1 indicator of addiction, ironically, is zip code. That's often because of the social drivers of health. If people don't have housing, they don't have food, they don't have employment, there's a likelihood that they're going to treat the challenges in their life with substances.